My name's David Spiegelhalter, and they put me here under lifestyle, which I'm a statistician. I'm a card-carrying nerd, and yet here I am speaking under lifestyle. So what I'm going to do, though, is immediately act a form and start bringing out a coin. So I bring a coin, so I'm going to flip this coin. What's the probability this is going to come up heads? Right, I flip it, cover it up. I'm not looking. What's your probability that this is heads? Yeah, grudging, you got there in your 50-50, I'm hearing. Now I'm going to look at it. Your probability, presumably, is still 50-50, mine isn't. So, sorry, you lost. Anyway, so that simple exercise has actually gone through quite a lot of kind of philosophy of what uncertainty means. Because before I flip the coin, it's what's known as aleatory uncertainty. It's chance. It's what we can't know. It's in the future, lap of the gods, goddess Fortuna, and all that. But then after I flip the coin and covered up, it's become what's known as epistemic uncertainty, our ignorance, what we don't know. And I suppose what I've been trying to argue there, what you've done, is that you can apply the ideas of probability in both of those circumstances as a measure of our uncertainty. And that's why, plug, 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 I call the book The Art of Uncertainty, How to Navigate Chance, Ignorance, Risk, and Luck. Because I put all those things together as in the general category of uncertainty. Because, you know, what is uncertainty? Well, a good definition, and one I use in my book, is it's the conscious awareness of ignorance. It's a sort of metacognition. It's when we're aware we just don't know something. It may be about the future, it may be about the past, maybe what the coin is, it may be about why something happened. And actually, we live most of our time in ignorance. You know, we've got a little bubble of things we know or think we know, but most of the world is a complete mystery to us. And actually, we are quite happy for that. So maybe that's why I'm in lifestyle, because although I constantly tell my publicist this is not a self-help book, it's helped me a lot writing it. So in terms of living with uncertainty and all those issues. One of the first things I should do, though, is to, could you just have a look at that coin and tell me if there's anything strange about it? What's odd about it? It's got two heads. It's an absolutely beautifully made and strictly illegal two-headed £2 coin. Absolutely wonderful. So your confident, cocky 50-50 right at the beginning was wrong. It was a delusion. You trusted me. You trusted me. And something as a statistician, I've learned over decades of work that all the statistical analysis we do, all the models we build, all these probabilities we calculate and everything, are all constructed. They're all constructed on the basis of judgments and assumptions. And in fact, you know, one of the things I don't think I've got time to get in today, but the culmination of the book is say, well, probability doesn't even exist. We just made it up. Useful idea, but we just made it up. So, but I won't too much get into that, I don't think, because I'd like to, since I'm in the lifestyle section, I ought to talk about living with uncertainty. So who likes uncertainty? Oh, a few hands going up. Okay, for those of you who didn't put your hands up, do you want to know what you're going to get for Christmas? When you haven't seen a sports game, do you want to know the score before you watch all the match? Do you just go to the last episode of a whodunit to find out who done it? Okay, now here's the question. So you do live with uncertainty. You like it. You actually enjoy it. What about this, though? If I was an all-seeing being or whatever, and could tell you when you were going to die, who would like to know? Oh, quite a lot. More than usual. Oh, wow. Usually you usually get about 5%, but I think that was a bit more than that in this group. Now, I won't actually interrogate anybody, but the usual thing is, it would enable me to plan. Is that about what people would say? Yeah. And so it is a minority, but that is an attitude of people who would like that. And in fact, because we vary enormously in our tolerance of uncertainty, there are clinical scales for measuring tolerance of uncertainty or intolerance of uncertainty. And if you get high enough, it becomes a clinical condition. I kind of feel I sometimes have I've got my own intolerance of uncertainty, which I found, and my particular bit that I get anxious about. Does anyone else suffer from travel fever? It's a lovely Victorian term that my father found. It's that terrible anxiety before you've got a trip to do. And you can't sleep properly, and your guts are churning, and things like that. Well, I have my father suffered it so badly he had to stop traveling, and he was a big traveler, and I started feeling it. So I went to a psychotherapist about this, and she was great. And she did, actually what I later find out was absolutely standard, but I still paid her a lot of money for it. She still did a bit of cognitive behavioral therapy, where she says, don't deny the feeling. No, you still got that anxiety. You really don't know. All sorts of things could go wrong. So what you have to do, though, is reframe it in your mind as the fact that it's identical to the feelings of excitement. So you reframe the anxiety to excitement. Standard cognitive behavioral therapy. And what I realized is what she did is something that became standard in family therapy in the 1990s, was first suggested, and now is part of really recommended practice in child protection and other areas, and that's called safe uncertainty. I think this is a brilliant idea. So the idea of the old-fashioned therapeutic model was that somebody came along in a situation of unsafe uncertainty. Oh my God, I don't understand what's going on. I keep on getting panic attacks. I'm anxious about the future. I don't understand how everything works, and I really feel very unsafe. And the old model was that, oh, well, that's right, we will cure you. You know, the person might expect to actually be completely sorted out. And in other words, to put that, the old therapeutic model might be that you could put someone into a situation of safe certainty. They did understand everything, why they felt that way. They felt in control. And essentially they eliminated the uncertainty and the feeling of, and they felt the feeling of safety. Now this is actually impossible, it's a delusion. And so the therapeutic model that I've become fascinated by is to move people towards a situation of safe uncertainty, which is what my psychotherapist did. In fact, the uncertainty didn't change at all. She didn't sort out my traveling or say, oh, it'll be fine, you know, maybe you won't lose your passport, which I do all the time. So she didn't sort that out. It was purely my response to it, to feel safe in that environment rather than feeling unsafe. And interestingly, I now give quite a lot of talks to big businesses, corporations, finance companies. And I use this idea of safe uncertainty in terms of big decisions being made by huge organizations, because we're living in an incredibly uncertain world. None of us can plan exactly what's going to happen. We can't even list the possible futures. So we can't optimize anything. So all the standard ways to which you're supposed to make decisions has to go out the window. So what do you have to do? You've got to admit you are in the situation of what's called slightly deep uncertainty, Rumsfeld's unknown unknowns, but you want to move from a feeling of sort of panic about it to a feeling of safety, which means building in resilience into the structures. It means building in resilience so that you are not trying to optimize, you're trying to be ready for things that can go wrong that you've never even thought of. And buying insurance is the natural one, which protects you against things you don't want to think about and you haven't thought about. But there's all sorts of other ways that businesses can do it, and I feel that individuals can do it. So that's, where have I got up to? Oh, yes. So I can check my notes. Yeah, because the other aspect that I talk about in the book and people ask about quite a lot is luck. Because, as I said, part of my fear of traveling was and still is to some extent, that I'm just going to be unlucky, that something's going to go wrong. The planes, due to no fault of my own, I don't know, another Icelandic ice cloud, or ash cloud will come down, close airspace, something's going to go wrong. Like when I was coming back recently and happened to be, of course, on the day that Heathrow was closed, which is, I do feel was somewhat out of my control. And bad luck. So bad luck are things that are out of your control and that were unpredicted and that have a big impact. And I don't believe that luck is something that's outside. I don't really believe there is a goddess Fortuna looking down on us, controlling our good or bad luck. But the concept of luck, I believe, is really valuable, very important. And philosophers have broken it down into three broad types of luck. And the first type, which reflects very much what Polly was saying earlier, is called constitutive luck. Constitutive luck is the luck of who you were born as. What were your privileges or lack of them when you were born? Because we got no control over who we were, over being born. And we just came out, there we were. We didn't ask for it. Here we are, looking around. Oh my God, what period of history have I been born into? What society? Who my parents are? What are my genes? What are my siblings? What's my environment? What's my early upbringing? All these things over which we have zero control, and yet we know can have a massive impact throughout the rest of their life. I would love to think that I'm in the position I am, Professor Sir David Spiegelhalter, etc., because of my, all my hard work and my skills and things like that. Well, yes, some of it a little bit perhaps, but a huge amount of it is because the generation I was born into. God, I got a final salary pension, for heaven's sakes. I know, I'm sorry, I know, really shouldn't say it, but it's true, and I had one of these houses that grew up in value while I just sat on my arse. It just got more and more valuable, like Polly mentioned. So all that happened, and that was my constitutive luck. And then the other sort of luck is circumstantial luck, being in the right place at the right time, or the wrong place at the wrong time. Because my grandfather, for example, which I talk about in the book, was born at just the right time to go into the First World War, which was very bad constitutive luck. And then he ended up as brigade gas officer in the Ypres salient just after the Battle of Passchendaele, which was appalling circumstantial luck. Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And on January the 29th, 1918, a shell came over and blew him up, which was not great circumstantial luck. But he had fantastic, and for me as well, of course, he had fantastic outcome luck, the third type of luck, which is just how it happened, how it ends up at that particular time and place, just how those things happened to fall for you. Were you the lucky one who survived or not, etc., etc. And he survived, and he went behind but he's declared B2, went behind the front line, and so survived the rest of the war. And so here I am. Of course, there is a final kind of luck, which is existential luck, which is the luck of being here at all. Now, I've got to ask you, who has really thought about their own conception? Come on. Well, you should do it. I mean, it's very difficult. It's not just teenagers that think, ugh, the thought of their parents having sex. I'm 71, and I really had to get a grip and think about it. And, but then they'd both died, so I felt slightly better about it. I mean, I didn't ask them, That really would be a bit much. But I did. I knew I'd been conceived in November 1952 in a little stone sort of cottage in North Devon where they were living, and I researched the weather. And it was a real cold snap. It made the newspapers, how cold it was going on. Now, there's almost no heating in that place, because I knew, because I was born there and lived there later on. So there's almost no heating. So, well, what did they do? Well, I suppose they tried to keep warm, and here I am. So, but I could so easily not have been. The fact that any of us here at all is extraordinary, how easy it would have been not to be here. So for me, writing this and thinking about it, it's really changed my perspective on the importance of my existence, which I now think is absolutely zero. So the other thing I'd like to mention, gets out my props. Do you not like cards? I'm sorry. It's an anti-gambling dog. Quite right too. Yeah, quite right too. Is that the art of constitutive luck, really, it means that the hand you've been dealt is incredibly important. You've got to make the best of the hand you've been dealt, because you didn't choose it at all. And I think that's actually quite a good analogy, because we're all unique. We're all unique, genetically unique. And actually, the hand you've been dealt is unique, because I would bet anything, everything I have, that nobody in the entire history of humanity has ever done that, had the cards in that order before after a good shuffle. And I would bet I'm going to do it again, and I would bet everything I have, all I own, my children, well, you can have them for free, that nobody in the entire history of humanity has ever had the cards in that order before. Now, I can't prove it. It's not logically true. It's just statistically incredibly unlikely that this has been done before. Okay, how do I know that? The point is that I can do some maths. And the first card, the way to do it is just think, well, how many shuffles are there? And if I can count the shuffles, then I can work out how likely it is that any two have ever occurred in the history of humanity. So the first card can be any one of 52. And the second card can be any one of 51. Third card can be any one of 50. So you've got to multiply these up to get all the different options that you can have. So 52 times 51 times 50, and you could do this on your calculator right down to 1. But I don't recommend it because your calculator will explode. It's a very big number. It's known as 52 factorial. And as a bit of prop, like this. Look at this. This is real high-tech stuff. And so I've got a very big number here, a number. Okay, so this is, what I'm talking about is 52 times 51 times 50 times 49, et cetera, et cetera. So that is, it's quite a big number. It's quite a big number. Actually, that's not, it's a bit bigger than that. It's a bit bigger than that. Actually, it's a bit bigger than that. And I might as well do it, and it's got a whole lot of zeros on the end. So it's that big. So that is how many shuffles there are. This is around, very roughly, the same number as atoms there are in our galaxy. It's just so unintuitive. This is a staggeringly big number. So if everybody in the entire history of humanity had done nothing except shuffle cards, the chance that any two of them at any time, not just me now, any time could have come up with the same number with about 10 to the minus 19, which is about the same that I could guess two people's phone numbers, just like that. So it's extraordinary. It's very unintuitive. But, yeah, all card shuffles are essentially unique. Right, so let me see, how much time have I? Let me see, because that's the way in which probability can be very unintuitive, that something you think is quite common is unbelievably rare. But there are other sorts of events, things you might think would be quite rare, that are quite common. And this is where I'm going to take a real risk. So how many got? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So from there, round to here, and you've all got some mobile phone numbers, and I would like to bet that two of you, the last 2 digits of your mobile phone number are the same out of this group of people. 20 people, 2 of you, you've got the same last 2 digits on your mobile phone number. Right, here goes. This group, if you hear your phone number, put your hand up. Okay, last 2 digits. 51? 30. 49. 46. 61. 56. 45. 06. 34. 17. 02. Hey! Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll pay you later. No. There was, and that's, not that intuitive, and there may be more, but there's an 87% chance I'd win that bet. And it's sort of, and you think it's a bit like if you've got 23 people, there's a 50% chance that 2 of them will have the same birthday. I'm not going to go through that. I did it with 40 recently, and I failed, and it was so embarrassing. But that worked out, so I'm going to stop there while my luck is in. And those things are more, so on the birthdays, that means that for every in every football match, when there's 23 people on the pitch, half of all football matches have got 2 people with the same birthday. And it's true, it always works out at the World Cup and all these, when people ever test it, it's true. And that's very unintuitive. So there you got a probability that is much bigger than you think it might be. In fact, there's an 87% chance of 20 people. Oh, it's a good game. With your kids, if you're on a long car journey, say, oh, let's look at the next 20 cars. And if 2 of them have got the same last 2 numbers in their number plate, you have to pay me back your pocket money. 87% chance of getting it, of winning it. So the point about this is that, yeah, probability is not intuitive. And in the book, I talk quite a lot about the fact that, as I said earlier, it can be useful, but we shouldn't think it's going to solve all our problems. That it actually, these are all constructions, they're all based on assumptions, all statistical models are fictions, in a sense, but we should try our best to use that analytic thinking, but never to think it can actually answer everything. There's always judgment involved. So this is not an algorithmic process to predict the future. That's why whenever I hear about, AI systems and they're going to look at your medical records and tell you what's going to happen to you, what a load of old bollocks. It really is. Absolutely hopeless. So these things really irritate me because I spent years, decades working on systems that actually can not tell you the future, but actually can give an idea of what those chances are. But even those aren't right. So I've got prostate cancer. I've used maybe some women have used the PREDICT system for breast cancer. I've used it for my prostate cancer. We helped develop it and build the interface for it. And it'll give me the probability, based on the boxes I tick, that I'll still be alive at 10 years' time or 15 years' time. But I know, in fact, that, that it's only a ballpark figure because it doesn't know, there's lots about me it doesn't know. Loads of things about it. It doesn't know maybe it doesn't know my genes, it doesn't know all sorts of stuff. So these systems that claim to tell you this is your risk of X, that is just nonsense. You shouldn't believe that at all. Well, if they were communicating that well, they would just say, out of 100 people who ticked the boxes you just did, we would expect 60 or so to still be alive in 10 years. Now that is, so look, whenever you see a system that pretends to tell you your risk of something, check that it's telling you in a realistic way, because that is the correct way to do it. And then that's fair, that is fair. It's not saying it's your risk, it's just saying, of people like you, this is what we'd expect to happen. So that's what, how long have I seem to have been going on for hours. What have I got, 10 minutes left? Oh, right. I could go on for hours, but I wouldn't mind I should have some questions. Yeah, anyone like some questions? Yeah, right.